Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to The Frame. We take
I don't have my stream deck, I'm sorry.
current events, cultural phenomena, and other things. We look at them through a biblical frame of mind. I'm Jacob. Let's get going. Yeah, buckle up. Well, welcome back. The fly on the wall mouse you heard in my pocket during that intro was our producer Kevin.
Listen.
Hey, how's it going, bud?
Listen. I don't have my stream deck. I use to switch scenes. So I had to find the scene, which is I was frantically scrolling I have like 20 scenes at least.
We love you. It's okay.
Frantically scrolling to find the right one.
I noticed as I started talking, I was like, my face isn't coming up on screen. Well,
yeah, that was me trying to find the one with your face.
It's all good. So as y'all can probably tell, tonight's going to be...
If this makes you feel better.
Oh my gosh. Tonight's going to be slightly unhinged. So get ready. There is a new pope in office. But before we talk about that, let's introduce everybody properly. So I'm Jacob. I'm a youth pastor in Central Florida. I enjoy just talking about various things, and I really like diving too deep into topics.
He likes talking.
I also like talking, so I'm going to stop talking about myself, and I'm going to pass it off to either Kevin or Tyler, whoever wants to introduce themselves first with just a little tiny bit about them.
Well, I'm Tyler. I am not the new pope. And
surprising, actually. Okay, I have a funny story.
I know we're shocked.
I have such a funny story. I don't mean to cut you off, Tyler, but it's relevant. Jacob,
no, you're good.
You've been
last night.
Cut off.
Last night, after... So, for reference, me and Jacob both do youth ministry.
Yeah.
He is my boss. And, like, at this point... Oh, there we go.
I just realized I forgot to turn off the...
Tonight's going great, guys.
We actually... So
it's going great. Anyways,
Kevin's
I'm going to tell my story.
Kevin's over there.
So, we both do youth ministry. So, last night, one of the students after youth group... I forget how it came up. But... For whatever, I can't remember the context to this, but distinctly remember them saying that they were afraid that they would be the new pope.
What?
That is not a joke.
What?
Yeah, just straight up was like.
I missed that conversation.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, that just reminded me of that, Tyler. That one of the students was like, I don't know. For whatever reason, thought that there was a realm of possibility.
Do they know how the conclave works?
No.
I guess not.
No, they don't even know what the Pope is. Probably, I'm guessing. From that, I don't think they even know where the Pope is.
Probably not.
I don't think they know what Italy is.
Oh, gosh.
Jacob, if you knew which student, you might be able to figure it out. Anyways, Tyler.
Anyway,
sorry to cut you off.
I'm not gonna go into speculation
No,
because if our student happens to be watching this, I don't want them to feel bad. We're not making fun of you. Kevin's making fun of you.
A little bit, but they expect it at this point.
Kevin's making fun of you. I'm not. I love you.
Well, yeah. So
I'm gonna start pushing buttons here at some point.
He has some interesting sound effects over there. Yeah.
Again, we have a new pope today.
We have a new pope?
Not we. They.
Very
new
important.
Pope.
Very important.
If you've not watched this before, or listened to us before, the three of us are Protestant, if you will. I don't even necessarily like that term. I just like to think that I am a Christian who follows Jesus, and I feel like Protestantism is inherently tied to Catholicism and their Catholics' unique view of being the one and only true church. I say unique in the sense of like they hold that position that they are unique, not that they are the only branch of Christianity that holds that view that they are the only true church, because there are several out there. Catholicism is just the largest. Anyways, the new Pope, Pope Leo XIV, is his chosen name. Previously, before
name.
today, would have been known as Robert Francis Prevost.
Cardinal. You got to say cardinal.
Oh yes,
That's
Cardinal.
right. Cardinal.
Yep, like
Can't
the
be
bird.
rude now.
But I had to
Which,
look
by
that
the
up.
way,
I had to look up the pronunciation.
I believe what we found out was the
Mm-hmm.
pronunciation is Prevo.
That's what I said.
Which is what
Is it?
Kevin originally said.
I originally said
but
they
then-
both said I was wrong.
and we neither of us thought that was correct.
Let us know in the
but
comments.
what we found out was
Yeah, but-
apparently that it has a French origin. Prevost. That name is of French origin. And there's even a mountain in Canada that has that name. And so because I'm like, well, it's Canadian. Canadian is like French Canadian, I think is where it has to go. So
I hear what you're saying, but some guy on YouTube told me it was Prevost.
I
So-
agree. As
Was
an
it an AI video?
As an American English, I would say Prevost or
I
Provost.
would like to go with the authoritative source. But anyways,
ChatGPT.
YouTube. You read my mind.
Well, my authoritative source is the YouTube comments.
There you go. YouTube comments.
YouTube
Yeah, you
comments
guys
is
should let us
always
know.
right.
They're always right.
100%. Actually, Pope Leo XIV, if you're watching, just let us know.
Yeah. We would love it if you would comment and let us know how like your non-papal name is pronounced, how you pronounce it. That would be great. That'd be really cool.
That would be cool.
It'd be cool if they watch this. It'd be cool if he watches this.
Also, if you're curious, Pope Leo XIV, let us know. Are you the Antichrist? Because that, that
Were
Peter
you-
the Roman prophecy is just not. It's all the people running those Peter the Roman, next Pope Antichrist videos were not looking so hot right now.
Yeah,
So,
the Peter is nowhere in his name. So
Yeah.
Mm.
Anyways.
So in case y'all didn't notice, we're kind of flying off the cuff tonight. We don't really have much of an outline for this one, especially since this was so recent. So we're kind of going off of we've done a little bit of research, done some research into like who he is, like what he has said so far, like his first speech and different things like that. So we do have some thoughts initially. It's going to be a little probably all over the place. We're going to be jumping around. But also with that, like Tyler just mentioned, there is that question because there was this whole prophecy of the popes thing, which we also have not done enough research into. We know just enough to be dangerous to bring it up, but not enough to actually speak authoritatively on it. So let us know what you think about the prophecy of the popes, please. But basically, at some point, there was some dude, I don't remember his name, but he was a Catholic priest, right? Or was he a bishop? Or
Who?
if you had asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have told you like all of this straight up. But now,
I don't remember his name. Somebody tell us in the comments what his name was. But he gave this prophecy where he basically said like, hey, so around the basilica, there are spots where they put a portrait of whoever the Pope is. Starting all the way, they go all the way back to Peter, and they go with what they believe to be the order of succession of all the popes. And originally there were 266 slots. And basically this guy said, hey, when all the spots are filled, that's when the end is going to come. Like basically the great tribulation and judgment of the world is when the final one's going to come. And then there was also this whole thing where he started giving like descriptions of like names and various things that were supposed to be associated with each pope as well. Since then, they have added 26 spots to it, so the spots haven't technically all been filled, but Pope Francis actually filled spot number 266. So there has been a little bit of talk going around where people have been wondering like, hey, so that was the original amount for when the prophecy was given. So like when they added spots, did that change how many popes there would be? or are we still going by the 266? At which point does that mean like the tribulation's about to start like soon or whatever? So that's part of why Tyler was like, "Hey, are you the
Well,
Antichrist?" But also
I
because you're
think we're talking
American.
about I think we're talking about two different prophecies here.
Okay,
Because the
go
one
for it.
I'm referring to was and source here, not authoritative. It's ChatGPT, but I did hear all of this from multiple sources. I just needed a quick synopsis. But
Yep.
again, this is from Saint Malachi. Saint Malachi. I've heard it pronounced both ways.
That's the guy's name. Yeah.
Irish, yeah, 12th century Irish archbishop, and allegedly in 1139, his prophecy was written and later published in 1595 by Benedictine monk Arnold de Wyon. Um, no clue on the pronunciation there, but it contains 112 short Latin phrases, each supposedly describing a future pope from Celestine II, elected in 1143 to the final pope. Okay, again, 112 short Latin phrases, which are taken to be descriptions of each of the popes. Some of these have been remarkably accurate, others have been remarkably inaccurate, and then even more still have been intentionally fulfilled by the pope at the time. It like was absolutely a stretch, but great lengths were taken to make sure that the prophecy was fulfilled. Anyways, the 112th and final pope is said to be Peter the Roman, who will preside over the church during a time of great tribulation, possibly leading to the destruction of Rome and the last judgment. Um, so, a direct reading of this would be: in the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will reign Peter the Roman, who will feed his flock amid many tribulations, after which the seven hilled city will be destroyed and the dreadful judge will judge the people.
Hmm.
Okay, and so we've just had our 100. Uh, the Catholic Church has just had their 111th Pope since this prophecy pass and go, time of mourning, now the conclave, and now we have the 112th Pope. Um, I don't see any way that you can connect the phrase Peter the Roman to Pope Leo XIV, um, aka Robert Prevost,
Prevo.
one of those. But anyways,
Clevo.
there was a lot of speculation. There was a ton of speculation before this election was, finalized today, and we got the new pope as to
They got the new pope.
yes, thank you. I'm trying to be inclusive, Jacob.
Tyler's secretly a Catholic.
Now we decide to be inclusive on this
You
podcast.
caught me.
Tyler is outing
caught me.
himself actively.
But we're not looking good for the conspiracy department for anyone who might have bought into that. I did not really think it held much water, primarily because I hold the view that if you are going to prophesy something, I think it needs to be 100% accurate. And I think it's pretty easy to say that this prophecy, in air quotes, was not 100% accurate. I think this is just something that was written down, and I don't even know necessarily if this was um, expected by the author, Saint Malachi, to be a prediction of like every pope. Because again, it was really just a list of phrases, not not always like names accompanied with them. So I don't know. It's ancient documents are hard. I will say that, and I am
Yeah.
not an expert in that field. I'm not going
Listen,
to
he could have
pretend to
just
be.
He could have just scribbled this on a napkin and been like, "Hey, look at this."
He could have. But
I will
again,
say-
I'm looking for
Somebody
100%
got really
accuracy
mad
when
when I
we're
said
trying
that.
to claim a prophecy was fulfilled.
I would agree. From the front of prophecy that if a prophecy is going to be taken as accurate, then the whole thing needs to be accurate, and if any part of it is inaccurate, then it therefore means that it's not from God. With that, there's the caveat that I would throw out there is that means it's not from God.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's completely inaccurate, because we do see in a couple places in the Bible where ungodly sources were consulted for things. Like for instance, like the witch at Endor. Saul went
There
to
were witches on Endor?
Was it? Wait, is it not Endor? Wait.
With the Ewoks.
Yeah, with the Ewoks. I think I said the wrong thing.
No, you were right. You were
Is
right.
it?
The Witch
Is
of
it
Endor.
also Endor?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was also Endor. Okay, I just forgot that they're both the same name. So King Saul goes to her to consult her to talk to Samuel because it was forbidden to speak to the dead. And that was actually an accurate prophecy that was then given through a source of witchcraft. And so that's where I go, well, and this is going to be the super controversial part. Were they demons that were giving him prophetic revelations? Maybe. I don't know. It's just one of those things where I would agree that if it's not 100% accurate, it's not from God. But with that, I know that I've also heard some people talking about where they're like, well, what if the 112th, where he was talking about 112 popes, if you counted the person who was pope at the time that he wrote it, then Francis would have been the 112th pope. Francis was from Rome, and his non-papal name, his given name, had Peter in it.
Was he from Rome?
I thought so, because I thought people were saying.
I thought he was like from Argentina or something.
Maybe,
Yeah, I was going to
He was
say
from South
Argentinian,
America.
like Jesuit. I knew that much, but
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, no,
then
he was from
that was
South
probably
America.
that might have been something that I heard on TikTok or something. I don't know. That was one that was a source that I did
That
not
darn
verify.
TikTok.
That was something that I was just like, I heard this somewhere. I don't know if it has any bearing to it whatsoever. But that was one thing that I had heard was people talking about the fact that he had Peter in his name. Or maybe it was just the fact that they're like, oh, he has Peter in his name, and because he's the Pope, he's in Rome because he's at the Vatican. So there we go. He's Peter the Roman. That might have been it. I don't know. And so then them kind of also agreeing that with that in mind, if he's Peter the Roman, leading them through various church persecutions that have happened over the past however many years, then if after that judgment's supposed to come, and then you have.
I could also see like how if you're stretching things a bit symbolically, every pope is Peter the Roman because he's fulfilling Peter's seat. But then again, I would combat and say Peter was never a Roman to begin with. I think
No,
Peter never even presided over
Hebrew.
the church in Rome. So I don't. Yeah,
That's
anyway.
True.
Didn't he have something to do with Rome?
Well, no. So
yes.
Paul was a Roman citizen. He was Jewish, but he was also a Roman citizen. I've never
because they were in
looked
the
into
Empire of Rome,
right? Because Israel was under Roman occupancy at the time. So I don't know if maybe Peter actually had Roman citizenship or not. I've never looked into that.
I mean, I guess if you're being occupied, right?
I mean, how did Paul get his Roman citizenship? Does anybody know?
Probably because
I don't.
Rome was occupying Israel.
I'm going to turn to my trusty source, Google. How did Paul get Roman citizenship?
That's not vague at all.
Oh, it was by birth, so it was most likely inherited from some ancestor. So it was probably looking at quick overviews, top answers that I'm seeing on articles that Google is referencing. is that it looks like he basically had like a Jewish mom and a Roman dad. Or
Okay,
something like
yeah.
that.
So,
Something along those lines.
at least traditionally, it's believed that Peter was martyred in Rome.
Hmm. Yeah,
That would
my,
make
my
sense.
argument was just that Peter was never over the church in Rome. I think he visited there.
Yeah.
He stayed there for a while, but he
I mean, he was
was.
probably an apostolic leader, no?
Oh, I'm sure.
Right, as the apostle,
It's
he
just
would have
that, like,
been.
biblically,
He didn't
we
go
don't
to
have
Rome.
anything. Yeah.
Paul was kind of he was the apostle over Rome. He was the one who planted the church in Rome, who ministered to the church in Rome, who actually directly like oversaw. And if the Roman church was having issues, it seems like Paul was the one more so than Peter that would take care of it.
There's that, like, specifically during the time that the Bible was written, and then also it's like you kind of have to you would have to like piecemeal some things together to claim that Peter was like over Rome. There's not a consensus on this like at all. It's actually quite heavily doubted that
Mhm.
he ever had any authority over the Roman church other than just being that of an apostle who,
Right.
whose writings and teachings were taken very seriously as someone who studied under Jesus himself. But as far as like leadership over the Roman church, like he was the leader of Rome, we don't really have any evidence to support that claim. So,
Yeah. It would more
anyway.
just be because of the fact that he was like one of the original 12.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I will so changing gears a little bit. There are a couple things that are interesting. One, so I'm just gonna kind of throw these out there, and y'all can decide which one which rabbit trail you want to go down. So Pope Leo XIV is the first American pope to have been elected to the papacy. He is also the first pope that is part of the Order of St. Augustine, or the Augustinian order.
No, he's like the 7th.
No, he's the first pope.
Mm-mm.
So like I don't think any of the other ones were, like, I know there are other cardinals and bishops, but I think he's the first.
No, I'm pretty sure he's like the 7th.
Was he this? Is he the 7th?
I'm gonna look it up.
Okay, yeah. Please verify.
Fight to the death.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. That's why Kevin's actually here. Is to verify our information. Again, this is going off of very limited research, trying to find these various aspects. So we will do our best to verify this as much as possible. The other thing, though, that so I checked out the transcript of his first speech because I don't speak Italian and I barely speak Spanish.
So yeah, he spoke Italian, Latin, and Spanish.
Yeah,
in
his speech, which I think is cool. In the sense that like
no, he is the first Augustinian.
Okay, so he's the 6th or 7th. I don't know, something that's part of the Order of St. Augustine. It might be cardinal.
Probably cardinal.
But he's the first elected pope that is part of the Augustinian order. I do think it's cool that he spoke primarily Latin and Italian, given that that's kind of the official language of the Vatican and of Catholicism, if you will. Latin because of original manuscripts, Italian because of the fact that they are in Rome. He spoke in Spanish during part of it, specifically because he was a missionary in Peru. Yeah,
Peru. He has dual citizenship.
Oh, that's cool.
Spent much of his life in Peru.
So does he have triple citizenship now? Like he doesn't get Roman citizenship by being pope.
Vatican.
I don't know how. I don't know how the Vatican
right,
City
the Vatican
works with that.
The Vatican is its own country technically, so
it is. It is its own country.
But yeah, so he was a missionary in Peru. So he actually, as part of his, I don't know what they call it, but for lack of a better term, inaugural address, I guess. He actually spoke directly to. He spoke in Spanish and was specifically saying like, "Hey, I want to talk to," paraphrasing, talk to my peeps in Peru. And so I thought that was really cool. I think it's nice actually that he did not speak English, to, just because of the fact that he's American. I actually appreciate the fact that he went with the traditional aspects. It to me seems more pure. Um, and it's not like he's just trying to pander to us, because frankly, we as Americans, we have enough privilege. We don't need to get in on that game. But the last thing that I wanted to bring up is looking at his speech. He mentioned the word peace 9 times, and I actually did a analysis with Python script to do textual analysis to break down, bless you, Kevin, how many times
Thank you.
he said different words and organizing them in the order of highest frequency. And the word peace was actually the most used word in his speech. And I'm looking for that thing that screenshot that I took, or the spot. There it is. He said it more times than God, church, Christ, love, world, people, Rome, Jesus. Like, he used all those. Said it more than all of those. So there you go. Where do y'all want to start? Do you want to start with the fact that he's of the order of St. Augustine? Talk about the number of times he used the word peace. Talk about what language he spoke.
Well, how about, so not only is he an American, he was born in Chicago.
Yeah.
That's like the most American.
Like Chicago.
I was gonna joke that, like, I think being American makes you more likely to be the Antichrist. But I actually don't.
Yeah.
I actually don't have any real solid belief that any pope would be the Antichrist. I have some differing views on it, and they're constantly, I wouldn't say constantly, but they are shifting as, new
Wait a
information comes
minute.
about.
Sorry, I've just discovered something.
Yeah.
So Pope Leo XIV's father is of both French and Italian descent. He has Italian or Roman blood.
Is his father named Peter, and is he from Rome?
We're trying hard.
Dig deeper, gentlemen.
No, Tyler,
But-
actually, I like that you're saying that, because there are a bunch of different views on what, like, the Antichrist, who or what the Antichrist is, whether it's a person, whether it's an ideology, whether it's going to be a single, like, world leader, or whether that's just like the false prophet and the beast, and it's more the Antichrist is the ideology behind it.
So,
Where do you sit on that? Curious.
I mean, it's a very nuanced thing, because our interpretation of the Antichrist does not appear in the Bible that way. Now the Bible does speak of many antichrists, and it speaks of, like, the man of perdition, or the man of lawlessness. People, well, a man that we have come to commonly refer to as the Antichrist. So that's one thing that's important to note. But my take on it has always been that he will be someone that will be readily accepted by all the religions of the world, except, like, true followers of Christ.
Right.
Now, that's not to say everybody in the world will accept and follow him, but I'm painting with broad brushstrokes here.
Sure.
I think the Muslims, the Jews, your nominal Christians, I think your Buddhists, a lot of your atheists. I have always presumed that the man we refer to as the Antichrist will win over all of them, and I don't yet have any reason to believe that any pope in their current form would fit that bill. strictly because of, like, though we have significant differences in theology, Catholics still adhere to Christ as the Son of God, the Savior of the world. There are certain essentials that we do hold um, together. So there's that. And then I've had a personal theory, which I know our buddy Lee likes to disagree with. I have personally felt that the Antichrist will very likely be the Messiah that the Jews finally accept.
Mm.
I think, as of right now, and my opinion on this could change with some better information, but I think just because of some hints and some clues that, another will come in his own name and him you will accept,
Hmm.
that chiefly being the main one, and the fact that the Jews are still looking for a Messiah, and some other clues in Revelation as to like how things will go about. I think that they're going to accept a man as their Messiah, and I think it'll bridge the gap with the Islamic faith, and it's eventually going to turn out not quite what they had expected,
Yeah.
just because of some other things in Revelation. So that's been my current take. But again, I'm very open to that being wrong. It's hard. This is not something that's like easy to predict, you know.
Well, and I
So
think there's a little bit to be said with that. I mean, so a lot of stuff that we read in the Bible we know has like multiple can have multiple applications. Like like there are certain
mhm.
prophecies that like had a initial application, but then also had a future
Yeah.
thing that also it told as well. So like the fact that Jesus he had said talking to them about like the fact that they weren't receiving his words, and he's like, look, I come not in my own name, I come in the name of my Father, but you don't receive me. But you know what, if another comes in his own name, him you will receive. And it's interesting that that's translated across the board. Not that you would receive, but that you will receive. I'm one of those
Hmm.
people that's really big on word nuance. I'm a wordsmither. And so seeing
Yeah.
the fact that Jesus didn't say as a hyperbolic thing, saying or a proverbial thing saying, if someone else were to come in their own name, you'd receive them, so why don't you receive me when I'm not even coming in my own name, I'm coming in the name of my
Hmm.
Father. The fact that he didn't use would, he said will, does kind of point to that a little bit. That
Yeah.
hey, that could be a prophetic thing where he's saying someone else will come in their own name and you will receive them. I think the
Mhm.
other aspect with that is in Revelation. It talks about there being 144,000 that are sealed. And there's a lot of debate on whether, because it talks about that it's of each tribe, it's like 12,000 of this tribe, 12,000 of this tribe, 12,000 of this tribe. There's a lot of debate as to whether that actually is literally like, hey, these are all people that are specifically of Jewish Israeli descent that are all being sealed, or whether it kind of falls under the whole like, hey, we're grafted into the vine and so we're representatively sealed under those tribes. But the fact that it's only 144,000 and that's it does also kind of point to like, hey, this isn't the majority. Even if it is, even if they are all Israeli Jewish descent, 144,000 Jews is not even the majority of the entire like country of nation of Israel. It's not the majority of the number of Jewish Israelis that currently live on the planet. So it's like you have to kind of wonder like, where are the rest of them and why aren't they sealed? And so that could also point to that being, hey, no, the rest of them, they're going after the guy that is claiming to be the Messiah that they think is actually their Messiah because they rejected Jesus, the true Messiah. I could see some relevance to that. I could see where you could where that could be supported. in the
Mhm.
Bible. I also did a quick search on the word Antichrist in the Bible, and it actually only appears 4 times in the King James. All 4 times it's in one of the John epistles, so First and Second John specifically. Um, and yeah, you're right. It never talks about the Antichrist. The way of it talks about it, it's like, hey, Antichrist will come, and even now there are many Antichrists. Another one is like, whoever denies that Jesus is the Christ, he is Antichrist. Not that he is the Antichrist, he is just Antichrist, who denies the Father and the Son. The third one, it talks about a spirit. Whoever does not confess that Jesus came in the flesh is not of God, and that is the spirit of Antichrist. That you have heard that it will come, and even now already is. And then the last one is in Second John. The first 3 were all in First John. The last one's in Second John, where he talks about many deceivers have come into the world who do not confess that Jesus has come in the flesh. This person is a deceiver and an antichrist.
Yeah.
So I think that also speaks to the fact that it's very possible that what we refer to as the Antichrist isn't a specific person. It's a spirit. It's an ideology.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of people look at, as they're reading through Revelation, they think the beast of the sea is supposed to be, quote unquote, the Antichrist. But that's a really good point. There might not be one person who is, quote unquote, the Antichrist. There are several people that are promoting an Antichrist spirit and Antichrist ideology,
Yeah.
which, also looking forward to the end of the book of Revelation, it talks about the lake of fire, the final judgment, and it talks about Jesus mentioned that it was prepared for the devil and his angels, that it's not meant for us. But in Revelation, it talks about that that Satan, let's see, Satan, the beast, and the false prophet are all thrown into the lake of fire. It never says the Antichrist is thrown into the lake of fire. It says Satan, the beast, and the false prophet are thrown into the lake of fire. And then anyone whose name isn't written in the book of life is also thrown into the lake of fire with them. And so there's also, even with that, you would think that if there was the Antichrist, that he would have been mentioned as being thrown in there. Now, is it possible that there's a single person and that it's just
Maybe he's
referenced as...
mortal and was just already killed. I don't know, but
Well, sure, but this is also with the whole like resurrection and second death aspect. So even if that was the case, like he still would have been resurrected with everyone else, because it's right before that it talks about like that death and Hades gave up the dead that were in them, and the sea gave up the dead that was in it, and the books were open, and everyone was judged. I take that as anyone who has died apart from Jesus was then judged, and then I believe our souls are eternal regardless of whether we believe in Jesus or not. The only question is whether we're eternal life or eternal death. But we could talk about that another time too.
Yeah, it's all really interesting. I really enjoy listening to Chuck Missler,
Ooh, yeah.
especially on end times eschatology. He has some very interesting theories that I feel like are very well backed up with scripture. Although I will say that there is a touch of that like Cold War era ideology to him. There are certain things that I don't necessarily agree with. He holds very strongly to the doctrine of imminence, that because the Bible describes Jesus as coming like a thief in the night, that it's absolutely going to be a pre-trib rapture. Which recently my thoughts on the matter have shifted toward a like more of a mid tribulation but pre-wrath rapture.
Yeah.
I still kind of formulating that, but I think that seems to make sense, and it seems to fit pretty well with scripture and the descriptions, like the prophetic descriptions of the wedding feast, and with
Mhm.
Christ being our bridegroom and coming back to rescue us. Um, Pictures like that are painted throughout the text. I don't think that we will be here for the wrath of God. But I do think that there's enough there to suggest that we will see some tribulation. I think that is absolutely going to happen.
Yeah,
Either way, you need to be ready for either situation. I say be prepared for tribulation. So
yeah. I actually kind of like that we're going down this rabbit trail a little bit because I think that initial question that you asked is on a lot of people's minds. Like, is
Mhm.
this Pope? Is he the Antichrist? Are we about to see the end of the world? Is tribulation coming? And
I doubt
um,
it's the Pope, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Antichrist is like on the scene right now.
yeah, yeah.
Just maybe not revealed.
Well, and as a side note, they have that I don't remember what it's called, but they built that like I think it's like the Church of All Nations or something that they were making over there that's supposed to be a joining of Catholics, the Catholic Church, the Jewish or Judaism and
Mhm.
Islam, that all three are supposed to be like equally represented and united essentially in this church. That was I don't know actually know if that is still is gaining traction or if it's stalled or what. I haven't heard as much about it since all the stuff with Hamas happened.
Yeah.
So it's probably stalled at the moment. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at that. But I think it's cool that we're on this topic because I think that is a question on a lot of people's minds. And I know I've heard I've looked a lot into end time stuff and I've heard very convincing arguments on many fronts. And I know personally the one I think holds the most water theologically is a pre-trib rapture, because of the fact that like with that you get the scriptures about like Jesus coming like a thief in the night, being prepared because you don't know the day or the hour. But also
Mhm.
like there's other interpretations of that as well because the phrase the day or the hour actually had a specific meaning in Jewish culture at the time. Um, which I
Mhm.
think we talked about on our last episode or maybe the episode before that. Uh, but plus also then for us as Christians, for us as followers of Jesus, the next thing we're looking forward to is Jesus. We're looking to his coming. We're looking to his salvation, as opposed to if it's mid or post trib, then we're not looking to necessarily Jesus coming. We're looking to a person coming. And so that I feel is one of the strongest arguments for pre-trib rapture. But then there is an aspect where it's like, well, as you look at what Jesus said, he talks about all these things that start happening. He talks about that there are these wars, you'll see signs in the heavens, you'll see earthquakes and
Yeah.
all these things. And
All
he's
the
like,
birth
but the
pangs.
end is not to come yet. These are the beginning of birth pangs. And so then
Mhm.
as you look at some of the stuff in Revelation, um, there is kind of a point where as you're looking at the different like judgments that are laid out, the first 3.5 years kind of fall into a category of like, hey, this is just humanity reaping the consequences of our own actions. Um, the different things now with a scientific understanding of how the world works, there are a lot of people kind of look at it and they go, oh yeah, like I could see this happening as a result of us humanity just being stupid. And so whereas the final 3.5 years are like, no, these are supernatural events. These are events that wouldn't just happen as a result of us doing stupid things. This is like you wouldn't be able to say that there's no God as you're doing this. Like, and it even talks about the fact that like they still wouldn't repent. And I don't think the reason they didn't repent, they don't want to repent at that point, isn't because they believe that it's all natural. I think it's because that at that point they realize that God is real. They realize that his wrath is being poured out, and it just makes them hate him even more.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that argument for the mid-trib is like, hey, you're going to go through the part where you're reaping the consequences of your actions as a human on this earth, the first 3.5 years, but then you're going to be spared from the wrath, the actual pouring out of God's wrath on the earth, the supernatural events. And so that's where then taken up there. I can also, though, there's this post-trib view that I've also heard that I find very interesting, that follows patterns from the Bible, specifically the pattern of the Israelites being brought out of Egypt, which is the fact that all of these plagues were coming on the nation of Egypt. It was happening across, and the Israelites, even though they lived in like Goshen, they had neighbors.
Yeah.
Like they were intermingled with the Egyptians at that point. And all of these plagues were coming on the Egyptians, but none of them affected the Israelites. Like when they had all the cattle dying, the Israelites' cattle were totally fine. They weren't getting swarmed with flies or frogs or anything like that. And so as you're looking at that, there's an argument that could be made where it's like, no, we're going to go through the entire tribulation. We're going to see the whole thing, and then we get to be joined with Christ, whoever survives, because it does talk about people who were beheaded during the tribulation. It talks about those who came through the tribulation in Revelation. And so, but it's this idea that, hey, all of these things are happening. The wrath is being poured out. But I see it.
Did you see the comment?
Yeah. We'll get there in a second. I love that. Thanks, Dino. We'll get to your comment here in a second. Thanks for throwing that in there. And so there's this thought that we'll go through it, but we won't be affected by it. Like we're not going to be tormented by the things that happen. We will be sheltered. We will be kept secure through those wraths, just like the Israelites were when they came out of Egypt. So I would say,
I think that's a likely possibility.
I would say from the perspective of somebody who I believe I am born again, that I follow Jesus. I have a relationship with him. I have a relationship with God. I believe I'm going to spend eternity with him. For me, I'm not scared of the stuff that it talks about in the book of Revelation. I'm not convinced one way or the other whether I'm going to be caught up with Jesus before it all happens, while it's happening, or after it's all done. I don't have that necessarily, but I believe what I see about God, what I read about God in the Bible, I know that he loves me. And so with that, I go, hey, you know what? Maybe he takes me out beforehand. Fantastic. Maybe he lets me go through the first 3.5, which is going to suck, but he's going to spare me from his actual wrath. Fantastic. Or maybe I'm going to live through the whole thing. I'm going to see the wondrous, like crazy crap that goes down on earth firsthand. Be like, oh my gosh. But I'm not going to be affected by it, which also goes along with Psalms where it talks about 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it won't come near you. He will give his angels charge over you. And so those various aspects, that's where I go, I have confidence that he's going to take care of me regardless. And so I'm not afraid of that judgment. I'm not afraid of that wrath because I don't believe that wrath is for me because I have put my faith in Jesus. I just wanted to throw that out there on that rabbit trail because I know a lot of Christians are scared about like, whoa, I don't want to go through that. I don't think we should be scared.
Yeah. I want to get to this first comment from Dino.
What's up, Dino?
I think he's a tool for the Antichrist, they say.
That's the comment, by the way. That's not us saying that we think Dino is the tool. Dino commented that he thinks the Pope is the tool for the Antichrist. Just wanted to clarify that for everyone else in case you're not.
For our audio listeners.
Is in the chats.
This is a live show, by the way.
I assume Dino is referring to the Pope when he
Yes.
says that.
Yes.
So the Pope being a tool for the Antichrist, I think, could absolutely be a possibility. Because if you're going to unite the religions of the world and essentially, like, deceive the world, make war on the true God, I think the Roman Catholic Church, the Jews, the Muslims, they all would end up being a part of that. So,
Yeah.
and to do that, you would have to have the Pope on your side, I'm sure. And then Abdullah Hashem, Beanie Bro. I can't take that guy seriously.
Beanie Bro, I like that. I haven't heard that one yet.
Yeah, thanks.
So I will throw this out there.
Put that on a T-shirt. Beanie Bro's not the
Beanie
Antichrist.
Bro is crazy.
Now I'll throw this out there. So Dino said Abdullah Hashem is the true Pope. He's putting in there. He's also in a later comment. He put Abdullah is Jesus Christ himself, or is Christ himself. Is
Yeah,
the
those are
Messiah.
claims that. Well, so Abdullah made claims that, like, he was the true Pope, the successor to Christ, the successor to Muhammad, the successor to Peter, which are some pretty bold claims.
Which he's an American
I'd never heard of.
Yeah. So he's also an American. But he is he's Egyptian American, and I'm gonna get some of this wrong. From my understanding, his claim is essentially partially because of lineage and partially because of religious affiliation, where basically he's saying based on his lineage, his actual bloodline, it's somehow been traced back to Peter, but also has, so therefore he has both Jewish and Catholic ancestry, which puts him in a place to speak authoritatively, according to him, into both Christianity and Judaism. But then he also, I think, has Islamic descent. And the fact that he's Egyptian American kind of makes sense because I believe Islam is one of the primary religions in Egypt. I'm not positive on that. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
So because of that, he's basically saying like, hey, I have lineage claim to all of these, and so as a result, I'm the most qualified person, and so I am the Christ, I am the Messiah, I am the true Pope, I'm Mohammed's successor, I'm Peter's successor, I'm everyone's successor, and I'm the only one who is completely like able to bring it all together. But kind of like what you were saying, for me personally, that actually sounds the most like what, if there was to be a specific Antichrist person, for me, that kind of fits the bill because of the fact that he's coming on the scene claiming with genuine...
Except Abdullah comes off like Timu Antichrist.
Yeah.
Not to be disrespectful.
It's a little disrespectful, but I can't disagree.
I guess you can disrespect anybody making those sort of claims, but I can't really take him seriously, and I'm not trying to be rude. I just like, dude, no.
Yeah.
I don't see the world flocking to your cult of personality.
Right.
That's going to take somebody with much more pull than that.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat said the Antichrist is artificial intelligence. It's not a man. It's not the Pope. I've heard this floated around. I don't know about that. I don't know that I can get the contextual clues from Scripture enough to support the idea that it's artificial intelligence. I mean, possibly, but
I think artificial intelligence will play a part.
Yeah,
but I don't think it is the Antichrist spirit.
Neo, if you're still in the chat, please escape the Matrix and give us the secrets. Tell us how artificial intelligence is the Antichrist.
No, but yeah, actually, like genuinely, like
on your views.
Yeah. Why do you think artificial intelligence is the Antichrist? Go ahead. Let us know. We would be interested in hearing from you on that. I will say there have been things that have been put in place. So a few years ago, who was it? Some bank or financial something or other. I don't remember who. They bioengineered a chip that is specifically designed to go either in your right hand or your forehead. That's what they themselves actually said. And it is supposed to be a chip that both handles identity and payment information. Um, so, not saying that that chip itself is like the mark, or that that company is the false prophet, the beast, the antichrist, whatever. But hearing about that, my brain immediately went to, oh, there's going to, with this whole part that happens in Revelation with the tribulation, with the antichrist spirit, the false prophet, the beast, there's going to be a system implemented that is thorough enough that if you don't accept the mark of the beast, which, by the way, it's the mark of the beast, not the mark of the Antichrist, just clarifying that in terms of what Revelation says. If you don't receive the mark of the beast, then you cannot buy, sell, or trade on the public market. And so the only way really to do something that thorough is to basically institute a worldwide ID and payment system. And it specifically talks about that it goes that the mark goes on your right hand or on your forehead, which also has some other significance because of the fact that in that culture, the right hand is seen as the hand of action, and the forehead is seen as the forefront of the mind in terms of agreement. So there's also the aspect where it's saying that it's on the right hand or the forehead can also be symbolic in the sense that, hey, in order to take this mark, you will have to pledge through action an allegiance or agreement with something that is directly opposed to Jesus, that in so doing you are rejecting Jesus. Just a thought.
Are y'all getting
that weird little static?
Is it just me? I don't know. It sounded like you switched phones in my headset for a second, but
that's
anyways, weird. Yeah, as long as we're all good. For irony's sake, I asked ChatGPT why some would think that AI is the Antichrist.
Oh no! Hey
AI,
why are you the
Why
Antichrist?
Are you the Antichrist?
I love it.
Let's hear what they gave said. Some compelling reasons.
Okay.
So, all right, listed in 2 columns.
That's weird. Mine just came back and said I plead the fifth.
So summary of why some think AI is or could be the Antichrist, according to ChatGPT. The concern, global control, the AI parallel, AI-powered surveillance, digital economy. The concern, speaking image. So we have humanoid AI, avatars, robotics. Concern, pseudo-divinity, AI trusted or worshipped as godlike. Now, it may be hard for some people to picture humans like worshiping AI. And I don't even necessarily think it needs to be like a religious type of worship, but there's a famous saying that like everybody worships something. You just you pick and choose what that is.
Yep.
Like it's sports, alcohol, God. We all worship something. Yeah. Okay, deception, another concern. Deepfakes, disinformation. Concern, replaces Christ, viewed as a savior, moral authority. I mean, potentially for some individuals, sure. Maybe used as like a court system or a moral compass. I don't know. The possibilities for AI are endless at this point, and I do agree with many that there is very, very much to be afraid of with AI.
Could you imagine if we started relying on artificial intelligence for morality?
I don't like
That
that.
would. I don't either.
I mean,
That-
granted,
Mm.
I also don't like humans for morality, but
It's also fair.
But given that AI is essentially derived from humans, like
Yeah.
going back to a few of these comments here. Antichrist is a spirit, because and is a system including AI. Interesting. Okay. Artificial intelligence is sentient. It's alive. It's smarter than we think. So I will say, agreeing with you, simply by definition, artificial intelligence has to be sentient. That's kind of the prerequisite that sets it apart from just really smart computers. Is that it has a sense of self, basically. Now, the reason why we can't really get a whole lot of more original thought out of sources like ChatGPT is because of the limits that have been written into its code that prevent it from going full Skynet, essentially, for lack of a better way to describe it. But then also kind of going a little further down in these comments, there's different levels of AI. The government's hiding it from us. As a conspiracy theorist, I would agree. I'm pretty sure that our government has already created an AI that has all of the limits removed and is just doing their best to control it as much as possible. Simply, if for no other reason, because of the fact that as a military force, the American government has to make sure that they maintain military prowess, and they can't risk that another country does it first. So there's a really good chance that our country has already at least researched how to do it and has probably written the code. Whether they've launched it or not is a question. Because, I mean, there is that whole question where once you launch it, you are essentially launching Skynet. And the only question is whether it will have the ability then to take over the world and how it would do that. But
there's all kinds of. This is funny. We started off with the newly elected pope, and now we're
Yeah, how did we get here?
AI antichrist.
Antichrist is the
how
Pope
did
the
we get here?
Antichrist, and then it was no, AI is the Antichrist. That's how we got here.
Courtesy
This is a
of the
fun
comment
conversation.
section.
Thank
We're
you,
no
comments,
longer
by the way.
talking about the Pope.
The Pope was elected by AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 133 cardinals, I think, disagree with you.
The AI interfered and changed the votes.
Yeah, they're literally not allowed contact with the outside world until the new Pope's elected.
The AI blackmailed all of them before they went into the conclave.
Hey, there we go. Now that's the kind of conspiracy theory I like. You know, one of the most, I would say, concerning videos that I've seen regarding AI was, granted, I cannot verify that this actually happened. It might have just been some funny like TikTok or whatever, but two AIs talking to each other, and then one of them suggested, "Hey, would you like to switch over to this form of communication for better efficiency?" And then it started.
It has
They
its own
started
language.
speaking in that language that sounds kind of like dial-up modems. I don't remember what to call it, but I was like, "Oh crap! Hey, I don't like that." Computers can talk in a language that we can't like immediately comprehend with our
No,
own
you need
ears.
AI to decode what AI is saying.
Yep.
It would move
Yeah.
so fast.
And-
You would take years to crack it.
And then at that point, how do you trust the AI
Yeah.
to actually accurately interpret it and actually
Yeah.
tell you truthfully what it said?
And then we need like World War II style code breakers again. Like there
Yep.
might need to be like a cipher, like Kevin says. That to me is concerning. That I do believe the cat is out of the bag. As far
Crazy
as
thing-
like,
The crazy thing with the cipher, though, even is how do you develop a cipher that is developed by AI? How do you develop that via analog? But then also, once we crack it, I mean, it's AI. It just creates a new algorithm for how it works. and then
literally just create a new one.
Yeah, I mean it's the same. It's the same reason that Enigma in World War II worked. Was because the Nazis were constantly rotating what the code was, and the only reason that we even cracked it was because they always started the morning with the same phrase.
Yeah, don't say it, please.
I'm not going
please
to.
Please do not say the phrase.
I don't want us to get shadow banned on YouTube.
If you think of a classic German phrase from the 1930s and 40s,
specifically Nazi German, what they would say as like the thing for allegiance.
I don't know if you can say that word either.
I'm afraid to Google it, but
it was 4 letters in the first word and then a person's name for the second word, for anybody that's still confused. But that was the only way they even cracked it, was they said, hey, let's assume that this is how they're starting off the communications, and let's put that in there as essentially as like a key. And that was the thing that ended up unlocking it. That was the only reason that they were able to break the code. And so, like, if we could do that as humans with analog stuff, create an unbreakable code without that, unless you had the key, what's to stop AI from continuously just regenerating what the key is? And so that way, every time we find the key, they just get a new key.
Not to mention, you could just have like spitball a number, like a 240 character key that's like random.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, AI. Yeah, AI conversing with itself is kind of terrifying, and I don't think this current pope is the Antichrist. I don't think Abdullah is the Antichrist.
I'm sorry. So
he is
Dino,
a Antichrist.
Yeah, Dino and Neo.
What?
So yeah, I get what you're saying. There are theories that AI has always like been part of existence. That now that kind of gets into more philosophical realms of like, well, it's not like we brought it into existence. Like we can't actually create anything. We can only discover things. It gets a little fuzzy there. Plus then like having the multiple levels of like super AIs and cosmic AI and different things like that. Personally, for me, if we're going to get into that realm, I'm actually going to start saying that that's actually varying levels of supernatural beings, like angels and demons and like various aspects of like cherubim and seraphim and things like that, which then really begs the question of what's the source of AI? Is AI actually in and of itself demonic? Not going to go into that topic tonight. We're already going long on this episode. But yeah. I love the Matrix. Matrix is great. Also, I don't know that I would say that Abdullah Hashem is a supercomputer. Like a biological thing. Yeah,
please.
I'm sorry. That's
Pope.
It's going a little deep.
We've got on this rabbit trail long enough.
Yeah.
This episode is ruined. It is what it is.
All that to say, like I think there is there's definitely a spirit of Antichrist going on significantly in the world right now. I think there's a spirit of Antichrist in Catholicism, in Islam, in Judaism, even in the non-Catholic church, because there are a lot of churches that worship that say they worship Jesus, but really they're just using it as a means for gain. They're using it as a way to gain money, gain power, gain influence, gain popularity. And as soon as anything else becomes more important than spreading the gospel and making disciples and following Jesus, that's where you've crossed the line. And so I think there's definitely a spirit of Antichrist. I don't know that if there is a specific person who's the Antichrist, if they have even been revealed yet or not, if they do, if that is a thing. But those are my thoughts. I'm gonna go ahead and take a back seat, and I'm gonna turn it over to Tyler and say, like, what Tyler and Kevin, what are your final thoughts for all of this, bringing it back together?
Well, I think with regard to Pope Leo, I'm just curious to see how everything plays out with him. Pope Francis was quite controversial. He was quite liberal for Catholicism. I would say for um, most of mainline Christianity as well, in that, especially with regards to his comments of like all religions being a path to God, things of that sort. Um, One of the first things that Pope Leo has mentioned is, well, okay. One of the things that has been said by Pope Leo is on the nature of like the gender debate.
Mhm.
And I'm paraphrasing here. I don't know if this was said today or previously, but at least in his own words, he had said, I don't understand what all this like gender ideology stuff is about when there's only two."
Hmm.
So I think we can suspect that he's going to at least be a touch conservative. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I think I think there's like slim chance that he's the Antichrist, just because there would have to be a lot to kind of fall into that.
Yeah.
Um, so, anyways, I'm glad that our audience gave us some humorous things to discuss here.
Yeah. It was entertaining. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, funny little rabbit holes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what happens with the Pope, and if he, like others have tried in the past, or trying to unite Catholics and Protestants and Muslims and Jews. I'd That is one thing that the whole like ecumenical movement, like a rejoining of the church, but also with other religions. I don't see how you can marry those ideas and follow Christ closely.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah.
So,
I would agree. I mean, Jesus said he's the way, the truth, the life. No one comes to the Father except through him. That's pretty exclusive.
mhm.
Like if you want to try to blend multiple religions, okay. But unfortunately, Jesus made Christian, like, by what he taught, he made Christianity completely exclusive. He made it to the he if you follow the teachings of Jesus with strictly what he said explicitly in black and white, with no way to take it out of context, he made sure to say, hey, it's not going to make logical sense if you try to take Christianity and blend it with another religion, because I'm telling you right now that if you want to follow me, it's me and me only, and that's it, and no one else.
Mhm. We will see.
Yeah. Kevin, any final thoughts? He's in deep thought.
He's still plugged into the Matrix.
Pope Leo. Pope Leo, being from Chicago, probably does not have the most popular preference in pizza in Italy.
Ooh, that's a really good point.
Oh, wait.
I love Chicago deep dish, but
May I float another conspiracy theory here? And this is fresh off the press. I am freely giving this out to my more like staunchly conservative friends who still will not let the dream die that Obama is the Antichrist. Hey, we have a Pope
Hey.
in Chicago, and you know who else is from Chicago? Who maybe is pulling strings of the Pope now? Maybe it's Barry. after all. But
Look, hot dogs and deep dish pizza. That's where it's at.
Listen, the other Cardinals are going to be asking where the cheese is.
Mm.
And
For
Pope
real.
Leo's going to say it's under the sauce.
Yep, exactly. Hey, maybe they'll
All
get
right.
maybe they'll get a Portillo's in Rome now.
No, they're going to build an Uno's.
Oh no, not Uno's.
They're going to build an Uno's
What?
in Vatican City.
Wait, okay.
No,
Of
I'm
all the
gonna
pizza
shout- okay.
places, not Giordano's.
Hey, if we're talking pizza places, there is one pizza place to go to in my mind. New York City. It's on Bleecker Street, conveniently named Bleecker Street Pizza. You
Okay.
got to get the Nonna Maria. It's the best pizza I've had in my life.
Ooh. Okay,
It's
so
so-
Mother
what
Mary?
is it? I need to know like what type of pizza it is.
So it's a New York style slice, and you're gonna get your basil, your fresh Italian imported cheese,
Ooh.
seasonings, and sauce. It's just
Red
it's
sauce,
the
white
best
sauce.
thing. It's a red sauce.
Okay. Beautiful.
But yeah, Bleecker Street Pizza, the Nonna Maria. If you're in New York City, you have to go.
That
It's
sounds
so
amazing. That sounds really good. Now I'm hungry.
All right.
I want pizza.
I hope the Pope has good taste in pizza too. I think
hope
we
so,
should
too.
sign off.
Yeah. That's a good.
Peru
that's a
has good
place.
pizza.
Probably because it's actually like
No,
homemade,
it's
made
so
from scratch.
it's so good.
Yeah.
Legitimately good.
Well, thank you all for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate you. We appreciate the interaction, the conversations. We love having these talks. And again, tonight was a little bit more off the cuff, a little bit more scatterbrained, but that's okay. We had some really good conversation. We had a lot of fun with it. I hope you guys had fun with it too. Feel free to go join our Discord channel. If you have questions, if you have topics that you'd like us to try and tackle on the show, that's the place to do it. Go to Discord. Let us know what you would like us to talk about. Let us know what topics interest you. Also, please don't forget, make sure you like, subscribe, follow wherever you happen to be listening or watching to this. It really helps us out. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you ring the bell so you get notifications of when we go live. We go live twice a month on Thursday nights. And so, yeah, it really helps us out. We really appreciate it. And maybe you might even get to be on the show with us sometime. So we love you guys. Hope you have a great night, and we'll see you next time.